Dalet, chapter 4, Mishnah Gimel, Mishnah 3. So we're talking about, the Mishnah is continuing talking about when a person is mudar hana from his friend, where you're forbidden to have benefit from your friend. The neder was made that forbade you to have hana from your friend. What can that friend do for you? So the next thing, so there were a couple of things in the previous Mishnah that were said that could be done for you, even though you're allowed not to have benefit from him. And now the Mishnah continues, "V'tayir mesrumasai umasraisiv l'datai." You can separate his shum and his meiser with his permission. So a person has grain, new grain. We need to separate from the grain the truma, the separation that goes to the kohen, and the meiseris that go to the Levi, the ties that go to the Levi, or that are meiser sheni, the second meiser, or going to the poor. But this person, the person who is the mudar, the person who is not allowed to have benefit, the person who is not allowed to benefit from, may go and separate his truma for him. I'm not separating truma from for his. I'm going over to his stack of grain, and I'm separating truma. You are only allowed to do that on someone else's grain if he gives you permission. You can't just walk over to somebody else's things and give them a status of truma. But if they give you permission to do it, then it's okay. Now, here the question is, how is the person, if we say that you need permission from the person who is not allowed to benefit, meaning you're going to do him, let's call it a favor right now, you're going to go ahead and separate truma for him, but he's not allowed to benefit from you. So you can't go ahead and do it because he's going to have benefit. Now he's not allowed to do that. Mm-hmm. But we're saying you could do it. Now he gave permission. What does it mean he gave permission? So the explanation here is like this. I'll read to you from the bottom here. Had the owner, meaning the person who is mudar, the person who may not have benefit, ask the madir, meaning ask the person who may not benefit from, to separate these portions for him, he would have directly asked him, can you separate this for me? Then that person who he may not benefit from would not be allowed to do it. Because as we mentioned last week, if I follow your directions, you ask me to do something and I follow your directions, that's called giving a person hana. That's called giving a person something new and something beneficial. And if he's not allowed to benefit from you, you can't do that for him. So what does it mean he gave permission? It means like this. It means the owner of the grain, who again is the mudur, may not have benefit, made a public announcement. Anybody who wants to come and separate my truma meiser for me, gesundheit, go ahead. But he never directed anybody specific. And therefore, anybody who decides to be the one to do that is not considered giving hana benefit to that person. If I follow your directive, you tell me to do something and I do it, that's called, in the laws in Nedarim, giving them benefit. But if a person just said, whoever wants to do it can do it, and you decide to do it, but there was no following his direct request from you or his direct directive from you, that's not called giving a person benefit. So therefore, when the Mishnah says that the person who may not, so we have, let's give him a name, Ruvain may not have benefit from Shimon. Shimon can still separate the Truma and the Meiser for Ruvain, and it's not considered getting a benefit from him because of the fact that he never asked him directly to do it. When he gave him permission to do it, which is the only way he could do it, that already is what did I say here? You have to give him permission, but as long as it's not direct asking him to do it, doing it for him is not called benefiting him. It's not benefiting him because you didn't directly follow something he asked you to do or told you to do. And also the mere fact that you're separating the trim and the ma'isa for him, again, you're not giving him anything new. You're just basically allowing his things that he really owns to now become permissible to him. Similar to what we had before about paying up the debt. So therefore, there is no problem doing this for the person who may not have benefit from you, the one doing separating for him. Okay, that's the first part of the Mishnah. The next part of the Mishnah goes like this. Umakriv olav kine zavin, kine zavais, kine yoldes, chatois vashamais. Again, let's get back to our people. Ruvain is not allowed to have benefit from Shimon because of a neder. Shimon is a Kohen. And now Reuben has carbona sacrifices to bring. So he comes to the base of Mikdash, and lo and behold, look who's the Kohen on call. Shimon is not allowed to benefit from. Can Shimon offer the sacrifices for Reuven? Says the Mishnah, he may. And the Mishnah just gives examples. But it's not only these cases, it just gives a number of examples. the Kinei Zavin, just to translate right now, the birds of Zavin, the birds of Zavais, the birds of women who give birth, sin offerings, guilt offerings, all these offerings he may bring. Now, before we go through, each one of the offerings, just to understand what they are, the reason here why he may offer the carbonis for him is because, and again, I'll read it to you here from the explanation, the madir, again, the person who he's not allowed to benefit from, may offer any of these on his behalf. In performing the service of the carbonis, a Kohen acts to fulfill Hashem's commandments, and not as a favor for the owner of the offering. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it because Hashem gives me a job, and that's my job to do. That's what I do. My job is to bring sacrifices. I'm not doing for you, and therefore, the Madir is not considered to be giving Mudar any benefit. I'm not giving him any benefit to say that I'm causing him to sin. If at any time I cannot benefit from you, you can't give me benefit because you're causing me to sin. But here, that's not a problem. It's not called giving him benefit because the Kohen's actions are not something he's doing on behalf of the person bringing the sacrifices. He is basically just doing his job of fulfilling his commandment, his obligation to be a Kohen, to bring the sacrifices. But it's not an act on your behalf. Now, the examples that were given before were Kinei Zavin, just to read here what these karbanos are about. A Zav is and Zav is singular, plural is Zavim, which is what we have in the Mishnah. We have a Zavin, is a man who became Tameh as a result of a particular type of bodily discharge. That's a Zav. A Zava, or Zavos, in plural, is a woman who became Tameh as a result of a certain series of blood discharges. Okay? A woman becomes Tameh upon giving birth. All these cause these people to become impure. And for these impurities, after completing the process that makes them tahar, makes them pure again, all of these people must bring certain animal offerings. And if they cannot afford the animal offerings, they must bring a pair of either turtle doves or pigeons. That's what it means, kine. Kine means a kan, a nest. Mm-hmm. So that's always the word that's used for bird offerings. The chatas and asham offerings are brought to atone for certain sins. So the Mishnah decided to list these sacrifices, but any other sacrifice would be included here, that if the Kohen is the person who we may not have benefit from, nonetheless, the Kohen can still bring the sacrifices that he needs to bring, can offer the sacrifices he needs to bring. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, Rabbi.